Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer. We're at Pimlico Old Hilltop, the site of Saturday's Preakness Stakes. And one of the big feature races on Friday, Mike, is the Grade 3 $250,000 Pimlico Special. This is for the older horses at the Preakness distance of 1 mile and 3/16. Remember to scan or click your QR code because we've got DRF past performances available already on DRF.com. You're going to want to study hard for this year's Preakness Stakes. Here's the field for the Pimlico Special, and we have a Millionaire as our morning line favorite and a Grade 1 Stakes winner at that. That's the number 2, Rattle and Roll. He's very honest.
Yeah, he's pretty good, this horse. I mean, it does feel like he's even getting better still, Dan. This is a race where I feel like you could make case for some of his rivals. They've got the right morning line favorite, though. This horse is 9-5. He's in good form right now.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race because there appears to be a little bit of speed in here, and it probably comes from the outside. You've got a horse named Speed Bias who was on the lead last time at Oaklawn. Keystone Field has a good amount of speed as well. And Law Professor, a horse that's going to be a major contender in this race, likes to be close.
Yeah, Law Professor does feel like a major contender in this race. He does not need the lead to run his best race, Dan. I suspect he lets those two horses to his outside perhaps clear him as they head to that first turn. He could fall into a pretty good trip here.
Let's start things off with an up-and-comer trained by Todd Pletcher. That's the number 1 Kuchar, who was second to Rattle and Roll in the American Derby last year. Sold for $500,000 at public auction, then went to the sidelines. Here's his first start for Todd. It's a second-level allowance at Aqueduct, and he ran quite well.
I thought he ran okay in this race, too. The long layoff does kind of feel like maybe it got to him a little bit. I thought he was in a good trip for most of the race, Dan, but he wound up sort of in tight there between horses that you see in the stretch. He lost a little position. He was dead game, though, coming back again at the end. He just missed. I feel like that was a really good start off the layoff for a colt who showed plenty of potential as a young horse.
He's another horse that has a good amount of tactical speed, and from that inside post can work out a decent trip. Rattle and Roll is the number 2, and like Kuchar, he won't have any problems with distance. Kuchar's won at 1.25 miles. Rattle and Roll won this race, the Benelli at Keeneland last time out, going 1 mile and 3/16. He looked good doing it, working out an in-out closer's trip.
This is good stuff from this horse, though, Dan. I mean, he put himself in position in this race up the backstretch, got clear at the top of the stretch. He won this race very convincingly. Another triple-digit buyer for him. That's 3 in his last 4 starts. Even off the layoff 2 starts back. He didn't come that close in that race. I didn't love the trip that he got in that race, though. Looked like his rider didn't want to go wide around the final turn there, and it just sort of left him out of position. I think he could have easily been 3rd that day with a different trip.
Here's an up-and-comer from Gulfstream Park, the number 3 Clapton, who just pulled off an upset in the Grade 3 Ghost Sapper, the race we're watching right now. There wasn't a lot of pace in this race. What I liked about Clapton was that he was able to make a prolonged move from the back of the pack and kept right on rolling.
Yeah, what you liked about Clapton in this race is that he got the job done at a big price, because you liked him that day. You scored on him in there. That was a pretty big performance, though, because I think you're right there. That race didn't necessarily fall into his lap. I think he just won it fair and square at a very big price there. It was another figure for him that puts him in contention. He's got a little bit of that in-out thing going on, which I don't love about him.
He's also stretching out in distance and stepping up in class. 6-1 on the morning line for the sharp Clapton. Armando R is one of the more popular horses here in Maryland. Here's his most recent race for Damon Dilladovico, winning for $55,000 going 1 mile and 1/16. This horse is usually a 1-run closer, but this pace was so slow he had to stay close, and he grinds him down late.
He's going to need some help if he's going to beat a field like this one. I respect the fact that they gave him a little clash relief in his last couple starts, and he responded a little bit. He's a stakes winner going 9 furlongs. 95 buyer he earned in that race, puts him on the cusp, but he's going to have to do better than that against this field.
Law Professor, the number 5, has been in excellent form in New York for trainer Rob Atras, winning 2 out of his last 3 starts. In the Excelsior last time out, Mike, he's sitting just off of Keystone Field, who actually shot away to a lonely lead on the backstretch. Law Professor inhaled him at the 5/16, went on to win comfortably. He's kind of been pulling hard recently in his last few races. That worries me a bit going longer.
Can't get away with that in this field. He's going to need to settle and sit the right trip in this race. I like this horse, Dan. I think he's pretty good. I do think he's a good fit in this race. I'm just a little concerned. He's got 2 big stakes wins in New York recently, not against the toughest competition, though. This is a way tougher spot for him. He's pretty good, though.
Joel Rosario takes them out on the 6th. That's Cook Creek, who took on some tough cookies last year and has now been trying to find his way in second-level allowance competition. Here's his most recent start at Keeneland, going 1 mile and 1/8. He's just going to get beat a neck. He's a very honest horse. He hasn't won since 2021, however, and this is a different level of horse from a class perspective.
Correct. Maybe they just asked a little bit too much of him too soon. soon last year. I thought he started out with real potential. He didn't quite step up when they moved him into those stakes races, and maybe it was just a little bit too much for him. I do think he's getting better right now. His last 2 races are fine. It's not that hard to make the argument that he would have won last time. He came around wide to the stretch. The winner got through on the rail. I thought it made the difference. He still has to improve.
While the 7-speed bias has won from off the pace, I think they found what he likes, and that is getting to the front. A big win over, I thought, an inside speed favoring track at Oaklawn 3 starts back. He then ran very well against Smile Happy, who's turning into one of the better older horses in the country. And in his most recent start, a second level allowance, he got to the lead, he backed down the fractions, he just couldn't hold on at the end.
Yeah, I don't know that he had some huge excuse there. I'm with you, though. He ran pretty well two starts back against a good horse. Last time, even though he had control, he did have 3 rivals come and challenge him around the final turn. He managed to fight him off, and then he got run down at the end. I don't know. He ran okay. I don't love him in this race.
Keystone Field goes turf to dirt, and that's a move that's worked very well for the Michael Maker trainee in the past year. Under triple-digit Buyer's speed figure, 4 starts back, working out an inside-out trip, but Law Professor had his number over Muddy going 2 back.
Yeah, the race at Oaklawn back in January gives him a chance in here. He got a perfect trip in that race against a weaker field. I don't like what he's done since then. He was no match for Law Professor 2 back. I guess I don't care about the turf race last time. He's got to do better.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Pimlico Special. There should be an honest pace going on in here. And while we hate to chalk out, I got to be honest with you, I think Rattle and Roll's coming into this race in fine fettle.
I agree, Dan. I took him on top as well. This is another good spot for this horse, and I just think he's going to fall into the right kind of trip in this race. The other horse for me is the 1, Kuchar. I think he'll outrun his odds.
We're looking to Rattle and Roll here on Preakness Weekend at Pimlico.